Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
And Shara.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
hello.
Hi, guys.
We made it, guys. We made it. We're all here. We survived 2022. It didn't break us almost. It hurt us really bad, but it didn't break us.
I don't know about you. You speak for yourself, Asim.
I remember going through 2021 and thinking like, well, this is the pits. Like, this is the worst life can get. And then 22 happened and I was like, oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like hold my beer. 2021.
I have no idea what 2023 is bringing, but I have learned my lesson and I'm not going to say things like, well, it can't possibly be worse.
Yeah.
Because, yes,
It's definitely gonna be worse 2023.
Shut your fuck up.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, somehow we made it to the end. But for the podcast, I would say that this was our best year yet.
Yeah. It's been like not even in terms of all of the new listeners we got, the numbers we reached. I mean, we I don't think we talk about that too much on the show. We're not like a metrics driven show. Internally, you should see what I'm doing to my poor co-hosts. But public ke samne, I'm like a very cool, chill guy about these things now. But I think we even had a podcast that was the most successful podcast we've ever done. That was the Maulajat podcast.
Yeah.
I've never seen numbers like that for a show like that. It's been amazing. And I think a big part of this year and the success has been our patrons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when we launched it in January of last year, it was like, we were like, okay, so it's going to be us and our moms and Asim's wife, and that's going to be our audience. And then we've had like so many people join, and it's been amazing to like see like a community form in the comment section, in like getting people to like talk to each other and stuff like that. And we are very aware that it's very much a work in progress. We're sort of like figuring our way around the entire system. We sort of announce things and then it takes a little while for the follow through to come around. Like, for example, I know like I'm the one that's like the bottleneck because, for example, I've been saying that I'm going to do like this audio essay on Amitabh Bachchan, which is ready, but it just needs to be given to us so we can like put it on Patreon. Like things like that, like little things like that. We're just sort of still ironing it out. But we're going to do a better job of that in 2023, I think.
And I think it's been a year of flux for us this year, right? Like we've been doing a lot of things on the personal front that have kind of like it did destabilize a few things. And I think even in our release schedules, a few times Amrita wasn't there, Sujoy wasn't there, so we've been trying to manage the way we could, right? And I think, inshallah, some stability would be coming next year, at least, right? Sujoy, at least on your front a little bit?
I don't know. I don't want to predict, but I hope so. But also, like, I just want to thank, like, my two co-hosts, like Asim and Amrita, through all the trials and tribulations that this year has brought. This is probably the only constant I have, other than my family, that brings me back every week or so. That when we record, when we chat, and we discuss about the things that, other than the stresses that we have in our lives, we just have fun and talk about the fun things in our life, that is Bollywood and Bollywood cinema and cinema in general. And I'm really thankful for that.
Oh,
And
that's
as usual, Sujoy, completely puts the rug under Asim and myself, because it's true. When he was saying that, this has been my constant over a very tough 2 years for me personally, and it's been something that I depend upon, because I just, no matter how terrible things might be, I know that when I come here, I'm amongst friends who get exactly what I'm trying to say, and I don't have to be on guard. And we're talking about things that bring us joy, and it's just a good time. And I hope the people who tune into the podcast can feel that, the bond that we share between the three of us.
ye bandhan to. No, but I think what I realized in this year, but also in the last few years, I think none of us are really good at adulting. You know what I mean? And I think this is also something that our audience has. We're at an age, but we all feel like, wait, दिमाग में बच्चे हैं अभी, we're still kids, but we need to now be adults and act like adults, right? And having this support of you too, and even the community in Patreon and our listeners that maybe cannot contribute financially but reach out to us always on Twitter and things like that, that really it really creates a sense of community and support. And it's like, okay, maybe we're not screwing things up as badly as we want to, or at least if I am screwing up, I have people that can kind of pick me up again. And I mean, I love you guys. I mean, I don't I can get emotional on the drop of a hat when I need, but I won't do that to you this time. Let's keep it light. I'll do it offline. But yeah, I love you guys.
I love you guys too.
And I think for coming back to the Patreon, I think I don't know if Khandaan would have continued the way it would if there was no Patreon. And I think we have a lot of things coming next year that's going to be really, really cool. We've been working on them, and I get super excited. I want to announce everything really, really quickly, but then I can't because I know it's going to take a bit longer. But there's really cool things happening. And I mean, even the people that, supported us through the year and couldn't continue because we get an exit survey, people's financial situations are changing, everybody's crypto has died, all of these things have happened. We're on the brink of a global recession. So I really want to thank people that have supported and then couldn't support us, or people that have supported us through the year, even when we've not been fully on the ball on Patreon. So I really want to thank them again. Better things are coming, and the community we've created. And maybe we can just give another shout out to everybody that supported us.
Thank you to our supporting patrons on patreon.com/Khandaan podcast. Yamini, Ashwin, Paresh, Grandmaster Too Sweet, Hanisha, Lisa, Beans, Anim, Shai, NJ, Danielle, Carrie, Nina, Uttara, Meher, The Turtle Pirate, Nush, Shreya, Aryu, Angelique, Rachna, Viral, Sachin, Heather, Nit, Manveer, and Swaroop.
Sushant, Bolilitsa, Sunita, Amrat, Beth, Sona, Neha, Samyukta, Shehzad, Nim, Usama, Jasmine, Nandini, Sunita, Pamela, Ruhi, Rehani, Farzana, G, Deepta, Mofi, Karen, Devansh, Javeria, Supriya,
Usha, Lena, Nika, SK, Abdullah, Shakila, Jackie, Navsharan, Irfan, Chitra, Geetika, Manish, Shah, Rebecca, and Deepti. Thank you so much. It's such a joy reading all of these names because we see them on the Patreon and they send us things and they talk to us. I love it. Thank you so much for supporting us through the year. Shall we get into the show?
Yes.
Yes. So we're doing this is pretty much going to be the last episode of the year. So we wanted to do a wrap up best of episode, and I think we might be running long, so we will probably split this in two. So that way you have something to do over the the Christmas break and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about the trends that we saw over the year. We're going to be talking about our best favorite shows, our least favorite shows, the best movies that we watched, and we're going to be doing our Khandanis, which are our yearly event of, awards that we give out on different categories. So let's start a bit about the trends. Maybe that's a good way to start. So 2022, I think it was a tough year for Bollywood, right? Generally. Well, I mean, let's start this way. Amrita, what did you think of 2022 generally?
I mean, it was a disaster. It was like a mix of just a lot of holdovers from the pandemic years, and then a lot of like B-list projects, outright propaganda films, the jingoricals, as you were talking about. I mean, it got so bad that even Amitabh Bachchan, who never opens his mouth about anything, actually got on a stage in Calcutta earlier this week and was like, wow, like we need to do something about this because it's really crap. I mean, that means like, the end times are pretty much here. So it's been like a pretty rough year for Bollywood, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Sujoy?
Yeah, what Amrita mentioned, like there are a lot of projects that got pushed off because they didn't want to release it during the pandemic. They sort of trickled down this year, but also a lot of people who sort of lost hope in their projects pushed them on streaming straight away. That's been the trend so far. So as like we've been not able to clearly distinguish between what was actually meant for a streaming release versus a project that's trickled down to from theater release to a sort of an OTT project. That's been the case. I think obviously post the pandemic, Bollywood has been trying hard to find its mojo back. It's been like a lost kid in a fair, and it's trying to seek its attention in the game, and it's trying to find its groove back. I don't know how successful it has been this year, because we've had a Varun release, a Ranveer release, Vicky Kaushal release. There's been like everybody trying to make big projects, but not exactly all of them landed. Even an Amir Khan movie did not do well. So
Yeah.
I don't know where the future holds, but I seem to be. I look at the future of Bollywood in 2023 with some sort of a hope, because we have big Yash Raj projects, especially a Salman movie and a Shah Rukh movie that I'm really looking forward to. Being the Khandaan podcast, I guess that comes with the job. But yeah, that's where I am right now.
I was even surprised when I mean, all of us love movies generally, and we also love Bollywood specifically. But Sujoy, even you didn't have that much on your list, right? You struggled to make your top 10 and top 5 lists, right?
Yeah, but that's also to do with how the year has been for me. Like I've been moving and struggling with finding work, etc. So I haven't had much time to consume content as much this year. And I have found myself to consume less and less of streaming shows. I've been sort of focusing on watching movies, because then I just finish it at one go rather than have to binge for hours. But even then, I think usually I would end up watching at least 50 to 100 movies somewhere. Like that's been my average. But this year, I think I have seen like less than 20 movies.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just been a bad year in general. Like, I think Bollywood is really lost. They don't know what to do. I mean, even like if you look at the top 10 of the year, and this is from Wikipedia, so I don't know how accurate this is, but like number one movie is Brahmastra, which made 431 crore apparently, which is not massive. Like the time of like effort that they put into this movie, the marketing, the cost of it. I mean, this was not a big money earner, right? Like the biggest money earners are probably Kashmir Files and Drishyam 2, which come at spot number 2 and number 3. And I think Kashmir Files probably like the best ROI, right? Like, they probably made that movie for chiller, right? Like everybody had like, they just worked on hate dollars and got real dollars for it, So Yeah.
But I think I would like to quote Karan Johar on it. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like an investment, the Brahmastra universe. So
Yeah.
like the assets are in place. So I think the investment is already done for like part 2 and part 3, and that's where they would start to see some sort of a return.
Yeah.
If because obviously, like in the case of Avatar, the technology that is involved in making the first one, that sort of propelled the future steps in making the sequel. Obviously, it took 13 years for James Cameron to catch up with the technology. I think I'm not comparing Ayan Mukherjee to James Cameron here, but it's still like a pet project that's taken years for him, and Dharma has been, really backing this project. And I think there is this positive buzz around, this universe to continue. We are very much invested to see the story of Shiva and Isha and Dave and the future that holds for this story to evolve. And I think we will be back for Brahmastra sequels, and I think that return will be in the future. But from right now, I think it's just breaking even, perhaps.
Did any of us watch Kashmir Files?
No, I did
No.
not.
No, we didn't, right? Okay, yeah.
I would have liked to, perhaps, but Z5 isn't available for me. So
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. I think we've reached this weird space of streaming where there has been a maturity. I feel like there's a clear strategy now, and I still feel South movies are doing it slightly better than Indian movies, like Hindi movies, because Hindi movies now have, they have Hotstar, they have Z5, and because of that, like there's certain movies I do not have access to, right? Like I had a whole list of movies that I just missed because they're just not on a platform I subscribe to. The one you were mentioning, what was the one you mentioned just now? Which was the? What did you say?
Kashmir Files.
Yeah, Kashmir Files. It's on Z5, right? So Kashmir Files, if I had Z5, I would probably check it out, even if it's just poison in my brain, but I would watch. I like, tasting a little bit of poison,
Yeah.
But even like Raksha Bandhan, I like Vidyut Jamwal, so Khuda Hafiz Part 2, like all of these movies I missed out because they're just not on a platform that I watch. And then there's also the fact that there's too much content on the platforms that we have, that like a movie like Jogi, which I really want to watch, I just don't have time to come around to it, right? How are you managing that, Amrita? You just don't give a shit?
Yeah, pretty much. The thing I think that has happened now is that the things that I really want to watch, I've found out that I'll make the time and the space to watch it anyhow.
Yeah.
And the things that, before I used to watch a lot of things that I wasn't necessarily looking forward to, but had like good word of mouth, or like somebody would recommend it to me or say that, if you have an evening free, you should watch this. But now I don't have evenings free because I have so many things that I want to watch, I want to read in multiple languages that I don't really have a lot of time left over for things that are sort of outside my usual taste. And that's actually very sad because a lot of the things that I have fallen in love with over the years are things that I wouldn't necessarily have watched, but did so because, of like somebody's recommendation or something. Like, for example, our number one movie last year was Bulbul,
Right.
which is not a genre that I would watch typically. I'm not like a big horror geek or anything. So, in fact, I'm not a horror person at all. So, I never watch stuff like that. But because, you guys all watched it, and I was like, well, I want to be in on the conversation. So, I watched it. And then I was like, okay, this is amazing. So, it's like happy little discoveries like that have just increasingly fallen by the wayside, I think.
Yeah. I think you don't. You still haven't watched Kala even, right? Like you just haven't gotten
No.
around to it, right?
So there's like a couple of things that I know I'll watch it before the end of the year. Like I wanted to watch Monica, Oh My Darling today before we recorded this, but I just didn't get around to it because there were like other things that I needed to do. So there's like a bunch of things that I know that I will watch at some point, but I don't know when that point is going to be.
Yeah.
And that also means that a lot of these shows and movies and especially shows, because shows are a proper time investment, right? Like you're saying,
Yeah.
like 5-6 hours at a time, or up to like 10 hours at a time, honestly. And I think that is what has like really taken a hit over the past year, because there are just so many shows that are like really amazing from the sounds of it, and that people have recommended like so many times. It's just like, what are you doing if you're not watching this? And I'm like, bitch, I've got so many things to watch. That's what I'm doing. But we have spoken about this before, like there's like so much content that seems geared for us, but we are not specifically getting to watch it at the right time, which means that the chatter around these shows
Yeah.
isn't taking off the way that it should. And that means that these shows are basically just sort of fading away into obscurity.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, you had like event television and you had like event movies,
Yeah.
and then everybody sat around and talked about it. And I have to say, like, a movie like Brahmastra, and whatever our opinions might be about the level of filmmaking in Brahmastra, it did get the chatter moving for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing for War, and I think it's going to be the same thing for Pathaan, because I don't think Pathaan is going to be an amazing movie necessarily, but it does get people talking.
Right.
The chatter element of a movie like that is really high. And that is very rare these days, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of like what we were saying, like Bollywood lost its way in trying to find its mojo back. Did you guys watch the filmmakers Adda on Film Companion with
Yes.
Kamal Hassan?
I
And
did. Yeah.
yeah. So like I think Anupama Chopra also asked the same question about what do you guys think? Like there's this entire chatter around Bollywood is not able to find its group back, whereas Southern Indian movies are absolutely ruling the roast, and like the whole phenomenon of the pan-Indian cinema is pretty much an RRR and a KGF and a Pushpa thing now, and movies like PS1 was trying to capitalize on it. And I think what Kamal Hassan said was, to paraphrase it, it's a cyclical thing, because in the 90s and the 2000s, they were the ones questioning, how come the Hindi cinema is ruling the roast? Like if we had the budget, we would do so and so, and now it's come to this. And so the wheel spins, and the next proper, like what Prithviraj also mentioned, like it would just take 2 hits to change the conversation. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for those 2 movies to come in 2023 with a Bhai and a Shahrukh movie.
But also a lot of the online discourse, and people like Anupama Chopra are very affected by online discourse, in my opinion, and Karan Johar definitely by online discourse.
For sure.
And the thing with online discourse is, and this is what I said in our last episode as well, which is that a lot of it is carried forward by people who don't seem to particularly enjoy cinema and who appear to like actively dislike Hindi cinema. So every cinema has its own language, and a lot of the people who criticize Hindi cinema and say things like Hindi cinema has lost its way, etc. And if you ask them, like, okay, so what is the deviation? Like, what was it, in your opinion, that they were doing correct before? And then they can't really say anything.
Yeah.
They go right back to, I don't know, like Mughal-e-Azam or something. So it's not like these people actually know what they're talking about. They just have a feeling of like, well, I don't like this. Like somebody on one of the Bollywood discussion groups was saying something like, I can't wait for this star-driven culture to end. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, Bollywood is star culture. Like, it's always been star culture.
Not just Bollywood, but all cinema.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
comparing to what is not a star-driven cinema industry.
Yeah.
Like,
I have no
what are you
idea.
what are you comparing it with? Like it's insane. When in Hollywood, Top Gun Maverick is the biggest hit. Like that's
Exactly.
like what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So for example, like when the Pathaan controversy erupted last week, and people were just like talking about like, oh my God, like this is so raunchy and sleazy and everything. And I kept thinking, like, have you no memory of like what Hindi cinema is, because I remember the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. I remember them having to yank Lolo and Govinda songs because it was so raunchy that they couldn't actually release it. Um, I
Yeah.
remember the conversation
Sarkailo
around
Khatia.
Sir Kylo Khatia, but also like, do you remember like how sexy, sexy, sexy became baby,
Oh
baby,
yeah.
baby?
Yeah.
So
I
like,
wasn't made to. I was refused to watch Rangila. I remember.
yeah.
It still hurts. It still
It
hurts.
still does. And then years later, living room में सब बैठ के तन्हा तन्हा देख रहे हैं.
I mean, not just living room में बैठ के देख रहे हैं, but like they're asking their little kids to dance to it, because
Guys, little kids know who Sunny Leone is.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
that's
And
what.
the same person who is saying, "Oh, this Besharam Pyar is raunchy," he has 10 tabs of Pornhub open on his phone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And like everyone on Insta is doing like Bhojpuri song like reels, and I'm just like, well, what are those songs supposed to be? Like, do you understand where that song comes from?
Yeah.
So it's just a bunch of idiots talking about things that they don't understand. And then sadly enough, Bollywood is just so lost at this moment that they're just following anyone. There's just
Yeah.
like, they're so blind. They're just like, well, that guy seems like he knows a way out, so we'll just like follow him. And that guy doesn't know anything.
That's what I really liked about the Adda, that film companion did, because it was only South Indian filmmakers, and
Yeah.
there was so much talent and humility in
Yeah.
how they're talking about things.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was happy because Bollywood only seems to have two oracles. It's either Karan Johar or Anurag Kashyap,
Yeah.
and neither of them have been delivering like track records, or whatever they spout does not come to pass. Like whatever they're saying is not happening. Like if they knew, they would be doing better. But there's literally nobody there, and it's just also just the humility that Rajamouli comes down to do this. Like
Yeah.
he's like, he could literally be campaigning for the Oscars, but he's coming down to talk because Kamal Hassan is going to be there. And I thought that was just a lovely, lovely round table. One of the best. I don't
agree.
think other ones
I
are going to
agree.
be this good. I love
Yeah,
it.
I watched the one on Bharadwaj Rangan also, which was like they had Anurag Kashyap and Karan Johar, and they had like a whole bunch of like Southern stars and everything, and they had like Varun Dhawan in it for some reason. And oh my god, like poor Varun Dhawan, like he's trying so hard to be like, yes, I belong here. It's so clear that he absolutely does not. Poor little Varun. I felt really bad
Varun
for
is
him.
shaken to the core. I think he's just like traumatized this year.
Yeah.
Like nothing worked. Like I think Jug Jug Jio a little bit, but come on, we have to admit that movie underdelivered. It didn't deliver what
Yeah.
it needed to, and Bhedia just flopped. And how much box office and popularity and all that is important for him. He's seeing Ranveer is back on. Vicky Kaushal married Katrina Kaif. So he's on a like shit is not going well for Varun Bichara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I find really interesting in like film conversation like this is Arjun Kapoor, because he knows the industry. He's grown in the industry. He like really articulates his words really well, and he has like really good opinions and arguments to make. But like Banda, he doesn't make good movies.
I think things are going to change for him, I feel.
I hope so.
I think next year might be like an Arjun Kapoor year. I think he's building up goodwill, like just the way he's, with the industry and his appearances on Coffee with Karan, and he's just like a nice, affable kind of guy. And I think, he's working with Vishal Bhardwaj next with Taboo, I think things could turn around. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be back next year to see if Asam's predictions come true.
Yeah.
You do know I am much better at predicting shit than Anurag Kashyap and Karan Johar together, right? Like when have I been wrong about things?
I mean, we don't have any stake in this, so whatever. Next week we will say the reverse, and we'll try to see if any of these come true.
And I will say the reverse with full confidence, like I never said the other.
Yeah.
Also, I think one of the things is just the boycott that happens this year, right? Amrita, what was your favorite boycott of the year?
I think there was a point where they just gave up, and then they were just like, boycott all Bollywood forever. They were just like, why are we doing this in like bits and pieces? Let's just make it like one thing. But it was just really funny when Lal Singh Chadha came out on Netflix and people started watching it, and then they started tagging all the people who worked on it, saying like, "Bhai, I'm really sorry, I boycotted it. It's really nice." And the people in the production began like replying things like, "Then send Amir 500 rupees, you heathen!" Like, like apologize for your bad judgment. Like, it was just really funny. It was like a very online sort of argument, but that just made me laugh.
What was your favorite boycott, Sujoy?
So, like Pulkit, our friend Pulkit Kocher on Instagram, he made this compendium of when boycotts like totally lose their shit, and like India ko chhod ke London chala gaya, boycott namaste London. You know?
It's a hilarious.
So it's kind of the same. Like every movie on the top 10, you know, except for maybe Kashmir Files. You know, like Vikram Veda. Oh, Saif Ali Khan did this in Sacred Games, so. You know, boycott Vikram Veda. It's kind of like that. It's hilarious. Then people started to boycott Ram Setu. People, because Karan Johar is involved in Jug Jug Jio, boycott Varun Dhawan. You know?
Ranveer ate beef 8 years ago on Netflix, so let's boycott
Brahmastra. Gangubai, because Alia said something in some interview, so
Alia's was like not even that Alia said something. It was that her mom or her dad said something, and they really hate her dad for some reason.
Mahesh, for sure. And like there's also this conversation about Alia does not have an Indian passport. She's got an OCI and she's a British citizen. So boycott Gangubai. What's hilarious is like the online conversation. Like on my Twitter feed is like the trending is still set to India region, so I can see like Avatar 2 is trending, and if you click on it, they're saying, "Oh, the Kannada dub of Avatar is really doing well. Boycott Bollywood." How do you even relate the two?
I have no idea. Like, people are just stupid in this country.
I think boycott has just come full circle in a way. Like it started with, in a way, Deepika and Shahrukh, and we've ended up back at Deepika and Shahrukh. You know, like they were gonna cut off her nose, and now they want to put her back into clothes. You know, like him, like he's just constantly like being, you know, Shahrukh. So I did find it bad though, for like it's like it's the snake that eats its own tail. And I think the tail this time has been Kangana Ranaut. Like, I don't think her career is pretty much done now. Like, there was still a bit of, you know, like she can come back if she works with talented people and she's still doing her thing. But like everything she's been in this year has flopped pretty much. Like Dhakad, she had a lot of hopes on that. And I think that's done. I think even Akshay Kumar has, not that he was ever part of that boycott gang or anything like that, but I think people have turned against him, you know, a lot to a certain degree, to the point that he's now, calling out junior artists to get a bit more, you know, of that hate thing going on. Richa Chadda, right? He called out.
Yeah,
that was I think one of the lowest points of Akshay ever to do that. I thought that was like just plain horrible to do that. But yeah, I think he's trying to, you know, get back clout with that audience, and I'm not sure it's going to work, unfortunately, for him. Yeah, I think that's it. I think of major trends, I don't think we have anything else. I mean, South is on the rise again. I think we spoke about that a little bit, but anything else? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, let's see. I think we're recording this a bit early before all of the other things have come out, so we've not been able to, you know, plagiarize anybody else's list. So let's move on. I actually didn't put this on our list, but do we want to talk about Hollywood quickly? What were your top favorite things that you watched this year? Do you like top of the mind? Like, we don't need to like go through the list or anything like that. Shall I give you mine, and maybe that will give you an idea about the ones? Yeah. So these are the ones that I thought Hollywood I really enjoyed. It was Everything Everywhere All at Once, Prey, the Predator prequel.
Yeah.
The new Batman movie I thought was pretty good, although on rewatch it doesn't really work that well.
Yeah.
I love Pixar's Turning Red. Also because my daughter has watched it 20 times, so you do get hypnotized and you start loving something. But that was genuinely good. I liked Top Gun Maverick. I thought it was amazing this year. Banshees of Inisherin
Yeah.
and RRR. Yeah, because that's officially now a Hollywood movie. It's a Gora movie.
Yeah,
Now.
it's a Gora movie now.
It's not ours anymore.
Yeah. What's funny is like Natu Natu is nominated for Best Original Soundtrack on Golden Globes. It'd be interesting to see them two dancing on the stage.
Yeah. I love when Goras are like, it's the best song, choreographed song ever. I was like, guys, watch some other shit. Like, please watch some other shit.
Remember, like a few years ago, like Benny Lava used to be a meme where they used to, misheard lyrics and put like random lyrics over Prabhudeva dancing on Benny Lava. And now it's gone to this Natu Natu. It's just crazy, man, how the internet evolves into something together,
Yeah. What about you, Sujoy?
I am very happy for Rajamouli and for RRR, just because I can already see all the usual suspects who thought that they were going to get there before anyone else, and they're getting like so mad. Like I can just I'm pretty sure Sanjay Leela Bhansali is like sitting in his office with a voodoo doll of SS. He's just so mad, and I'm enjoying that energy a lot.
Yeah.
But to me, RRR is like, like Beti Ki Bidhai, you've married her off to other people and she's happy in her home, like that's what it is. That's what it feels like. Sujoy, what were your top things for
I think
Hollywood?
I'll agree with most of your picks. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once is definitely one of my best movies of the year. And Banshees of Inisherin, I had this was so hard, devastating to watch a bromance, breakup between one of my two best performances, Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. Like the team behind In Bruges, one of my most favorite movies of all time, coming back together with Martin McDonagh, who made In Bruges as well. And yeah, it was such a moving movie. I think I watched what's his face, A Triangle of Sadness. I keep mentioning that movie as one of the best of the year that I've only watched once. I'll probably watch it whenever it releases on streaming again. It was amazing. RRR, as a cinematic experience, it was like watching a stadium concert come into play. Just for that experience, RRR is definitely up there. What else? I think that's it, really. Nothing really moved me as much as Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Amrita, anything that stood out for you?
Yeah, I agree. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like I went into it completely blind because they told me like that's the only way to experience that movie, and I'm so glad I did. I laughed, I cried, I thought about that movie for days. I still think about it from time to time. And it's been a long time since I had that kind of reaction to a movie. Because you get so used to, eating junk food that once in a while when you get served like a Michelin star meal, you're just like, oh my God, like, so this is what food is supposed to be like. That was the experience that I had with that movie. And I think like the other thing was Turning Red was great. I think it's been a really great year for animated movies, and Turning Red was my favorite. Did Encanto come out this year?
No,
that was last year.
Years ago.
Okay. Well, Turning Red was definitely my favorite. Like it was super cute. It made me laugh. And I especially enjoyed the fact that so many people were mad that there's a movie about a little girl going through menstruation for the first time. Like that was really funny.
Yeah. It was a good show, and like, great music too. Like like a K-pop kind of inspired thing. I thought that was.
And just an honorable mention that I forgot to mention before, just from a fun Hollywood action movie experience perspective, Bullet Train just ticks all the boxes for me.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Everything fall into place for that movie.
Yeah, really fun. I recently rewatched it because it dropped on Netflix US, and it's such a fun movie to watch. Yeah, it's a good one. Cool. Let's go back to our home grounds. So yeah, let's talk a bit about the streaming shows that we watched this year and things that stood out for us. Let's talk a bit about the standout shows that I had here on my list. So I don't have Sony Live. I don't have Z5. I don't watch anything on Hotstar that much. What else is out there?
So I think like Rocket Boys was one of the biggest, performance-driven and widely appreciated shows of the year, with Jim Sarb and the other guy I can't remember who played the other role. But obviously we don't have Sony Live, so I didn't get around to watching Rocket Boys.
Yeah.
I did, and it was good.
You have Sony Live.
I have everything except I don't watch anything. So,
Yeah.
so
I think
in India, you get things for free. Like if you like recharge your phone or like buy, a
Nariyal.
phone connection. So they give you
Okay.
like free subscriptions. So I'm subscribed to everything, but like I just don't watch anything.
Okay. So the standouts that came out this year, I think the big one was Fame Game, probably, right? Which now,
Yes.
unfortunately, has been cancelled. It's not. We're not gonna. Vichari Madhuri is going to be stuck in that garage forever. Do you even remember that was the ending of the show?
I can't remember, man.
It was so bad. Yeah.
It was bad, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Is it also just generally, I think, looking back at the year, I've noticed when I was making all of my lists, like going through names, like a few things I was kind of positive about when I watched it, and now looking back, I'm like, actually, that wasn't that good. And the other way, I was like, theek hai. And now a year later, I'm like, actually, that was pretty good. I really enjoyed this, looking at the whole thing at the year, Indian matchmaking was a thing, that came out. Although I don't know if it's really India or not India's, in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a US production, I feel, right?
But Seema Auntie is from Amchi, Mumbai, so maybe.
Yeah, she's one of you. She's one of
One of yous.
one of yous. There was Mai, I think that came out too this year. I don't think anybody of us watched it.
No.
Was that Ravina murder mystery show this year or last year?
Aranyak.
Yeah.
What?
That was last year.
Okay.
Is that actually coming back?
Yes. There's a second season in shooting right now.
Oh, yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah. It was good.
I think we all were waiting for Made in Heaven season 2 to drop too, and that didn't happen,
It's
unfortunately.
been 84 years.
Come on, Zoya, you can do it.
It's going to be tough though. Like, I think it's going to be tough. They are making it, right? But they probably need to do some cast changes or something.
Well, if you have watched Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives season 2, Neelam is apparently going to be in Made in Heaven.
Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, that came out this year too, right?
Yeah, and I watched all of it.
You watched all of it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that you watched.
I know.
What was the big thing this year on that?
I have no idea. It's done. I've wiped my memory clean.
Yeah.
I've watched it though. Yeah.
Okay. The few others that I had on my list that I liked, I'm really still enjoying Cat, guys. I've talked about it like super recently, so recency bias, but I'm really enjoying Cat. It's really good.
Okay.
I finished Khaki the Bihar Files, which I thought was okay. It wasn't as great it had like good potential, but at the end it's just like, you got wiretaps and informers, that's how you solved it, okay, big deal, that's how police works. That's how it works,
It was the 90s, guys.
Yeah. Breathe season 2 also came out. I just didn't finish that one. I just like stuck with it. So
you know what I watched? The one on Netflix. I watched the what is it? The one about the family that killed itself. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No, is this an Indian show?
This is
Oh,
on
right, right,
Netflix.
The Burari Files.
The
Buradi
Burari file.
Files, that's what it
Yes.
is. That was genuinely creepy and terrible. And once you watch it, you understand why boycott things work on Indian media. Like,
Yeah.
it's like people are just primed for mind control. And I also watched the second season of Delhi Crime, which was
Yeah.
pretty
Right.
great.
I remember that you recommended that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if Cat hadn't dropped, I would have started watching that. I was really close to like pressing play on that one. uh, yeah. And also, just like generally, I think there has been a bit more true crime on Netflix this year
Yeah.
compared to before, right? Like I seen there's a new series on Indian Predator. A few other things coming out. So Venn diagrams are coming together. Yeah, interesting.
Well, what I would like to say, what I'd like to mention is there was a show that was really heavily promoted when I was in India, which was the earlier half of the year, and that was Ranveer versus The Wild with Bear Grylls, and you could tell Bear Grylls was like, I can't survive this.
He's like, give me bhalus, give me wolves. I don't want to sit 5 more minutes with this guy. I
With
can't
Cocaine
take it.
Bear. Yeah.
Did you
Didn't he
watch
like?
it?
No, I didn't
I,
get.
I
I think
watched
it was
5 minutes where he jumped into the helicopter and started kissing Bear. What's his name? Bear
Bear
Grylls.
Grylls, yeah.
Bear Grylls. I was like, I'm done. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
can't do this.
God. Why is he like that?
Yeah, yeah. People like him. That's why he's like that, I guess. Right? Like,
Ranveer, don't change, man.
Yeah.
yeah. Although it's funny also, like this year, I didn't watch too much streaming on Prime. Like, I think the years before, they were really like, hitting it out the park. And
Yeah.
this year, they just didn't have that much content, unfortunately. Like, also, I was hoping for a new season of Patal Lok, but I don't know if that's happening or
But
not.
there was this whole Prime promotion of the shows that were dropping, which didn't really make the schedule. Like there was this Vikramaditya Motwani series that was supposed to release with Bumba Prosenjit in the lead, playing this yesteryear's actor. I think it was going to be called Jubilee, which didn't drop, which I was and a lot of Bumba fans were really looking forward to, and that didn't drop. Obviously, Made in Heaven didn't come out this year either, and then a lot of the Prime promotions didn't make it to the final stage of release. I think
Yeah.
the only one that sort of released was Majama with Madhuri, which was kind of meh.
I wonder how much of that has to do with all the drama that played out last year with Tandav and them sort of like going back to the drawing board and being like, okay, well, is it safe to show this? Is it safe to show that? I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of shows were either, like they were
Re-edited?
greenlit, re-edited, but also like there were probably projects that were greenlit but had to be abandoned because Prime was asking them to like redo things that would completely destroy the sanctity of the story. So yeah, I think like that's what happened last year.
I think there was like a Shahid Kapoor show to be released as well, directed by Rajan DK, called Farzi, which
That's
obviously
coming
did not get
out.
released.
No, that's coming out on Netflix in February.
Oh,
Nice. Okay.
okay. I thought that was a Prime show.
No,
Did you guys watch Modern Love Mumbai and Modern Love Hyderabad and all of that?
no,
No,
couldn't
man,
be
I'm only
bothered.
interested in old school love. No, I didn't. Like, I don't know if I wanna like. I'm really not interested. Like, there's been like a lot of like even Modern Love Korea and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel there's this like lack of depth in storytelling in that format where I felt
No,
the original one was really good. I thought the New
yeah.
York one was amazing. I feel the Indian one, it's still about like like a low budget Yash Raj movie, dating samajh mein nahi aa rahi, like aap pe kya ho raha hai, that kind of thing. I don't know. It just like I don't know. This is just like a superficial opinion I have. Amrita, do you have any different sense of it?
No, it's the same thing. But the thing is, like, the New York version is based off the Modern Love column in the New York Times. So it's
Yeah.
like real stories. So there's like a real variety of like perspectives and stories and like the people that you see in it, and which is what I think like people react to because they're not necessarily stories that you've seen before. Like everyone was talking about the story with Dev Patel, for example, in the first
Yeah.
season of Modern Love.
Yeah.
And that is not a story that you would see with an Indian man necessarily, So that was like, there was something new to it. Whereas like with, I don't know how they're planning to do, I still don't, I guess I should watch it to understand how they're trying to pull it off. But it really makes no sense to me. Like if they were making an Indian version of, Sujoy, do you remember there's that Parsi dude who's like a sexologist on Mumbai Mirror, and he has like all these people who write in like basically
Yeah.
fiction about
Uh-huh.
their sex
Yeah, yeah,
lives,
yeah.
and then he tells them things like, like you should get a therapist because you're mad and things like that. Like if they made an Indian TV show like called Modern
Based on
Love,
those columns, yeah.
based on those columns, like I would watch it 100% because I know it'll be like insane and crazy.
Oh,
and fun.
I remember the name. He's called Dr. Mahinder Vatsa.
That's the guy. So like that would make sense to me because that would be like about India and like because the thing with stories like Modern Love, like the Modern Love column in the New York Times, is really a sort of it's a look into what the people in this time and age and how they're navigating relationships and what the challenges might be. So it's about like like what is it like to be a young person who's dating in this time and this age, which I'm not really sure like Modern Love Bombay or Modern Love Hyderabad or whatever it is can really do it.
Is the original, the New Yorker one, is that written by readers? It's their stories, all right, or not?
So it's their stories and then it's been
Adapted, right? Yeah. Where I feel that the Hyderabad and the Indian ones are just written. They're not
Yes.
based on anybody's stories. They're just written by writers and like just a concept. And that's what kind of pushes me back. Like this doesn't seem real to me. A show I really like, otherwise it's I mean I keep promoting Apple Plus, and I don't even get paid for it, but Little America on there, that's kind of that same format. I really love those stories, but there seems to be something real about them where I feel just artificiality in the adaptation, the Netflix adaptations.
Sure.
So I didn't watch that, unfortunately.
Like speaking of which, do you guys want to talk about the streaming movies that came out this year? So I have a list of the movies I saw.
I think that's going to be in the next episode, right? Like
because mine are actually on my top 5, a few of them.
Okay.
So I don't want to like spoil anything. Then I think this is a good place to end this episode, though. Let's do that, and let's keep part 2, our top 10 list or top 5 list for the next episode. I think that this kind of like wraps up like a good resume of the year, right? That's it for this episode. We'll be dropping the new episode with all of our top 5s, the best of, the worst, and also our Khandani Awards category. So that's going to be exciting. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter for as long as it lasts at Amrita IQ.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 93K, and you can follow Khandaan Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Khandaan Podcast.
I'm at Asim Bernie. You can drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. We'll be back with part 2.
Khandaan Podcast for the acting. Girl, you're my chum,